Jay here for Stretford Paddock. Fulham 1, Manchester United 2. This is a live review. Joining me, as always, is a very happy Joe Smith. Joe, what is it you always say? Go on.
Better start believing in title races, Jay. You're in one. Yes. And we definitely are now. We've played half the season and we're top of the league. That's it.
Top of the league, baby. Yes.
Title challenge, there's no question about it now. We already knew we were in one anyway, but we're certainly in one now. My only concern is, and you just said it a minute ago, that it seems like at the minute, you hear these sort of cliche at this point where these are the sort of games you've got to win. Grinding out victories, that's key to winning the league. Can you win a league by only grinding out wins? Because we don't seem to have any other options at the minute. When's the last time we won a game comfortably?
It's like every time it seems to be the same thing, doesn't it? Like Wolves, last minute winner, Villa hanging on. The Scousers obviously withdrew. Tonight it was the same.
The first 6 away games of the season.
Coming back from behind. It does feel a little bit like every game is a bit of a battle, which is slightly concerning. I don't want to be negative because we've won away from home. It's a positive result. But you do worry a little bit that we're not... Usually when you win the league, and when we used to win leagues under Sir Alex, you'd have these results, but you'd also have sort of 7 or 8 games where you just blew teams away.
3-0 at home against Wigan.
Yeah, it'd just be comfortable and you sort of be sat there after 10 minutes thinking this game's done.
Yep.
So there is a little bit of worry that you don't want every game turning into a sort of, backs to the wall, gung-ho.
Because we can't do another 20 of these.
No, surely
not.
I can. United could. I physically can't. I'm an old man, Joe. I will not be able. My heart won't take it because it's like you're screaming about. We've given away a throw-in, or oh no, they're through, and it's like at the end of thought was it Mitrovic who I thought was going to get.
Mitrovic almost had the one that hit by him.
And then
Loftus-Cheek had the one where he blazed it over.
Yep.
And Loftus-Cheek had the other one where he was through on goal and De Gea saved it with his feet.
This is live as well, guys. As you know, because you're watching it, get involved in the chat. Hit like as well. Let us know what you thought about the game. Who do you think played well? Who's your man of the match? Any other answer than Edinson Cavani's wrong.
I like that. This is live as well.
This is happening. This is happening now, even though you're watching it, so you know it is.
Do you say that to people when you're just having a conversation with them in real life? Just so you know, this conversation
is live.
Yeah.
This is actually happening. Yeah, I've had stranger conversations, or more normal conversations.
Fergal McClement said this felt like how Adam described the Watford game. Forgettable in a few weeks. Never felt in doubt. He said it on the live stream, and he did say it on the live stream. Excuse me. Comfortable. Did you feel comfortable, Jay?
At times. I will say this thing though, the reason that this game is slightly memorable was an excellent Paul Pogba goal on his left. We just saw his post-match interview. He was asked if he was happy. He said, "I'm happy when I'm winning." And we've won, so I'm happy. And he said that goal was better than the Burnley one because it was on his left foot. Fair enough. Edinson Cavani, who was man of the match in terms of the game, he was awarded it. Getting those sorts of goals that he's been brought in to do, to get the poacher's goals, getting in the end of things that perhaps our other strikers don't. So those 2 players, for me, were the sort of the 2 standouts. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think those 2, Maguire and Bailly were both, again, solid. I wouldn't say they were man of the match. For me, the man of the match was between Pogba and Matic. I think personally I would have gone for Pogba.
Pogba and Matic? That's a bold statement. Matic was that good?
In those 68 seconds he was on.
That he got the man of the match?
Pogba and Cavani were my 2 men of the match, if you can have such a concept. Pogba was really good. He has been really good. And Philip Nikolovsky there says the Pogba farewell tour is well and truly on. And it is on. It does feel a little bit like that, where it's almost that like... Oh, fuck it, I'll try really hard.
I don't mind. We said it. Yeah, I get you right.
He hasn't been trying really hard, but there's no denying whatever you want to put it down to, whether it's confidence, whether it's fitness, whether it is a little bit of effort, whatever it is, whether it's maybe that extra intensity that all great athletes get when they think something exciting or something special is on the horizon. There's that extra 5% they've managed to pull out from somewhere. Whatever it is, he's doing more defensively. He's doing more physically, as in when there's a battle to be had, and we saw it with his goal the other day, where there's a battle to be had, a header to be won, a 50-50 clash to come out on top of, it didn't always seem like he did come out on top of those. Whereas now he is. There's an extra something, and maybe it's just as simple as he's fit. And maybe it's as simple as he's happy, but he's definitely better than he was. And he's been brilliant for, probably close to a month now, and he was excellent again today.
I don't think he got enough sort of leeway because of the COVID thing. When he had COVID, came back into the team. We didn't have much of a break. His performances were pretty below standard, if we're being brutally honest.
Yeah.
But I think even Ollie said it probably rushed him into the side when he wasn't fully fit after COVID, because no one really knows what it takes out of you as an athlete. So that might have affected him. You were talking the other day, I think it was last night on the live, you were saying about Bruno. Might be, obviously you played alongside a better midfielder. Yeah. So and Bruno gotten a better understanding. That alleviates a little bit of pressure. But there's no doubt he steps up, and it's great because Bruno's producing. He got I think he was given the assist for Cavani's goal.
Certainly Premier League fantasy football, he was given the assist. I don't know whether that's an official assist.
Yeah, but he was involved, shall we say.
He set the goal up.
Yeah, he set the goal up. But also, when he was going a little bit quiet or he couldn't quite unpick that lock, Pogba steps up. Do you know what I mean? And that's what we've always wanted. We want Paul Pogba to be able to perform in these types of games and to be able to step up when others aren't. And he's doing that. And listen, he's going in the summer. But what better way to go out than if he does help us win a Premier League medal? You've got a super chat there.
Yeah, not a bad cow with the super chat. Says, don't slate me for this, but can we say, Pogba till he moves on after winning his Premier League medal?
No.
Okay. Tyler Wincoop says...
I'm told, if you want to do that, you can, yeah, but I'm not.
He said that Fred did all the dirty work exceptionally well. Fred does do that dirty work exceptionally well. It's the pretty work he struggles with, isn't it? It's the intricate passing through the lines in the final third. Yeah. It's the shots in the box. It almost summed Fred up. There's about a 10-second passage where he had a scruffy, bent over, hunched, throwing a leg, right-footed shot that got immediately blocked in the Fulham box. The ball then sort of spilled out onto the right-hand side. And for about 15 seconds, he battled and scrapped and won it and pushed and got pushed and tackled and slid and just did all of the things that Fred loves to do. Those shitty little gritty, nitty, all the shitty, itty-bitty witties. All those little bits, and ended up, I think that it was a throw to them, but he should have got fouled. There was a big push in his back. That. But those 15 seconds summed him up. Awful in front of goal. He hasn't quite got that final third finesse, but everything else, you can never doubt his effort. You can never doubt his work rate, and his tenacity is brilliant. And he was good again tonight. And he had a slightly different role because he is the only person in the squad that was doing that stuff. I know Pogba, we said, is doing a bit more of that. Yeah. But usually he's alongside McTominay. Tonight he sort of had to fight for himself and someone else. But I do really like Fred. I do think there's an extra sort of finesse and quality that we could maybe find somewhere else. But I think for what he offers, you can never doubt his application, can you, Fred?
No, I like that. I like the bit you were talking about as well, where he was throwing himself around the touchline and he got tackled, or he looked like he was going to lose it. He looked like he got a bit of a shove. He kept battling, and I thought it was a good performance by Fred today. And those are the types of performances where I'm not saying that's his level, but if he produces like that, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with Fred giving me a 7 out of 10 in a game like that, where he does the job he's being sort of put in the side to do. I don't expect Fred to be dancing past players. I don't expect him to be scoring any goals because his shooting's woeful. But I expect him to be winning balls, giving it to Pogba, giving it to Bruno. And he more or less did that tonight, and I thought it was a decent performance by him. Not like, a Paul Pogba-esque or, a man of the match performance, but the job he's paid to do, and he did it well, and he's one of the reasons that we emerged from Craven Cottage with all 3 points. I believe you've got some quotes for us.
Yeah, we've got some quotes coming up. Dominic Bannister as well in the comments of this parish, or formerly of this parish, said heart palpitation FC. It's definitely stressful, isn't it? Although Adam seemed to be a bit calm. There was people in the chat that were slightly more calm than others as well, but I was certainly stressed out. Michael Fagan said, Cavani did score on the 21st minute, 21 in 2021.
The omens, Joe. The omens. The stars are aligning in our favour. What's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer been saying about all this?
He said it was a fantastic goal by Paul, and then it says brackets Pogba on there in case you think it was.
Okay, I think it's Paul Scholes.
Yeah, well, who knows, because he plays like him sometimes, and they look very similar. And we had some other chances to finish the game, but of course, when it's just one goal and the players they put on, it is going to be like a heart in your mouth. Interesting term there. Be like heart in your mouth.
Be like heart in your mouth. No, but it is, and it is stressful, and you do panic, and I was sort of worried, like we said earlier. But at the end of the day, it's, and the thing to remember with Fulham, you can look at it and go, well, the relegation battlers, we should be going down there and hammering them, but they've had some good performances. Fulham, they've got a lot of draws. They're a difficult team.
They drew with Tottenham a few days ago, a week ago or so. They only lost to Chelsea because because of the red card. They were the better team up until that point. So they're a much improved team. At the start of the season, they kind of looked like, you're a championship team.
Yeah.
Whereas now they are, I think, if the only thing that will stop them staying up is that really poor start to the season. But if they keep playing how they are at the minute, they feel like a proper Premiership side to me. We've got a quote from Paul Pogba. He said, "I hit the ball well." Oh, nice one. I saw that. We noticed that. I didn't expect it with the left foot like this, but if you don't try, then you don't score. It was a beautiful goal and a beautiful win. It wasn't my favourite goal ever, but it was still beautiful.
I'm not being funny, but he scored a goal in the World Cup finals. I don't expect this a game, no disrespect, but I don't expect a Wednesday night at Craven Cottage to be his favourite goal ever when he scored in a World Cup final to more or less seal the win and win his country the World Cup.
And how disrespectful is that if you're that goal? You're sat at home thinking, "Oh, it was a brilliant goal today." Like, imagine if your girlfriend came out and was like, "You know what? I didn't expect to like him, but I do." I mean, he's not my favourite man ever. He's not my favourite kisser ever, but he's still beautiful. Why do you have to say it? Why insulting the goal? Say it's the best goal I've ever scored.
I think that might be where I went wrong when we had our third child in the delivery room. It's not my favourite, but it's all right.
Yeah, if you don't try, you don't have a kid. It's a beautiful kid and a beautiful day. It wasn't my favourite kid ever, but it's still beautiful.
I'm only joking. My third is my favourite.
Is it? Good stuff.
Go on.
You've got more quotes for us. Yeah, we've got more quotes as well. This is again from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Manchester United manager, in case you didn't know, or in case you tried to forget.
Brackets again.
No, it's not.
Gunnar
I'm
Solskjaer.
saying this to the people who acted, not my manager, PE teacher,
okay. That was a thing when for a bit. Is it still a thing now?
No, do you know what? I'm actually annoyed at myself for bringing this up because we know Ole out is behind us. We've moved on
until next week.
Until next week. Yeah. But I'm glad that it is behind us, and I hate that I have to bring it up to reference the fact that we don't have to bring it up anymore. But it's good that you don't have to defend Ole anymore, isn't it? He said, "When you win tight games, those 2 extra points for a win instead of a draw are vital. Let's see where we are at the end." Almost there. I wouldn't say he's alluding to it because I think he is just talking about today, but those 2 extra points that you talk about, though, that Ollie talks about there, do make you think back to Liverpool potentially. The chances we had, the Pogba chance, the Bruno chance, where those 2 extra points would be the difference between Man City winning their game in hand and going top, or Man City winning the game in hand and we're still above them. Do you think that we'll look back at some of these games? The Chelsea one for me is a big one. The Arsenal one is a big one. I think we could have beaten Liverpool. Or do you think, we've only really dropped points against, the bigger sides or the historically bigger sides. Generally speaking, when we face Leeds, Brighton, Fulham, whoever it is, Sheffield United, we've actually generally beaten the lower teams in the division. Do you think sometimes you just have to go, you can't win every game, we've actually improved because now we can break down those deep line defences that we'd struggled against, not just for Ole's reign, for Van Gaal's reign, for Mourinho's reign, for Moyes' reign. They seem to be the hardest nut to crack, don't they? Those deep line defences, week in, week out.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I see a lot of people bringing up the Arsenal game, the Chelsea game, and the Scousers as well. If only we'd have took our chance, if only we'd have beaten, we hadn't lost to a poor Arsenal team. But you got to look at some of the results that United have had and some of the sort of the last minute wins. We beat Brighton. You mentioned Brighton. We beat them after the final whistle had gone. You mentioned there, about the sort of beating the so-called lower teams. We beat Wolves with... I love Marcus Rashford more than anyone.
I love Wolves.
Yeah.
As an animal.
But it was a mishit shot, but more or less, wasn't it, on his left foot. Deflected in the 94th minute. We have ground out some results and we have had a little bit, whether you call it luck, whatever, fortune, whatever you want to call it. So it's easy to look at the negatives, but we've had a lot of games where you think this game's over, we're not going to win it. Yeah. It was the full time at Brighton, the game was over, we hadn't won, and then, hang on a minute, no, you're going to get a penalty, and we have won. Oh, that's nice.
We won.
That's
what
I mean.
So the game.
It's too easy to go, yes, we dropped points there, We're sitting on top now. We've had some games where, yes, we should have done better. We should have beat Arsenal. We're a much better side than Arsenal. Yeah. We should have beat Chelsea. We're better than them. But we've also done very well, and we've also been able to go right to the wire in some of these games and get 3 points. And I think that you've got to take that. You've got to look at the positives and say, okay, look at not only where we are, but where we've come from as well, because none of us, when this season started, and not even after the Palace game, but before the Palace game, we're going, oh yeah, halfway through the season, we'll be sat on top of the table. No doubt about that. None of us are expecting that.
No, they weren't. And something to talk about now, it's halfway through the season. I think that's definitely a time to start, not summarising the season at all, but it's a decent sample size for how a year may well pan out. Yes. United have got 40 points after 19 games. The only team that can best that is Manchester City by 19 games.
Right.
Do you think 80 points would win Man United the league this season? If we do what we did first half, again second half, do you think 80 points would win us the league? Bearing in mind, was it 3 years ago under Jose, we got 81 points, and I think we finished 18 points off the top, or 19 points off the top. Do you think 80 points would win us the league?
No, I don't. I think City have had their bad spell. I think Liverpool have had their bad spell as well. And I don't expect... I think Liverpool and City will have better second halves of the season than the first half. City is starting to come into it now. And I think that whilst United have had a fantastic run, especially away from home, we have dropped points as well. And I think we are capable of getting more than 80 points. I think we are. And there's no reason why this team can't kick on and get better. You know, we've seen Cavani come in tonight and get another goal and play well. He can produce, you know, more of those goals that we need. I still think Marcus Rashford, who's on course for his best ever goal scoring season, can weigh in with more goals. Anthony Martial, and I don't really want to be too negative or whatever, but you know, he's got to have a better second half of the season than the first. I can't see Anthony Martial finishing on 4 Premier League goals. And if he does, I'll be amazed. I'm very, very disappointed. I don't see that happening. So I think there's a lot of players who can, you know, raise it up a little bit. And I think United as a whole, as a team, can kick on a gear. So I expect it to be, it's not going to be a 99, 98 season. We know that. But I think it'll be around the late 80s, sort of 88 points maybe. Yeah.
Max Gomez with the Super Chat says, our mentality compared to last season has been so positive. Bruno's come in and we know that he's got this ridiculous goal and assist return. I'm not sure officially yet, but potentially another assist for him tonight as well. Do you think, how much do you think his impact has been purely as a on the pitch statistical numbers game? And how much of it do you think is a mentality thing? Because you look at the goals he scored, obviously he's got 15 goals this season. Rashford's got 14 goals. But then other than that, Martial's got 5 in all competitions. I think Cavani's got 5 in all competitions. You know, Pogba maybe has got 3 now. But, you know, other than those two, we're not scoring that many this year in comparison to what we were doing. But yet we're still top of the league. Do you think that's because the mentality change has been so drastic with Bruno sort of the main catalyst of that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a combination of a lot of things. You're right about the mentality. I think there's a lot of belief. I think he's raised everyone's game. You saw it when he came in his debut against Wolves. He was shouting at players, screaming at him, and you're like, wow, who is this guy? He's not playing games. Do you know what I mean? And that's what we needed. I think the fact that he's come in and he gives us that bit of added extra, you're almost looking at you thinking, with Bruno on the pitch, you've got a chance of creating something, you've got a chance of getting an extra goal or getting that sort of that telling moment in the game where perhaps last season we weren't feeling like that. I don't want to bash him because, you know, it's an easy target, but last season, I never felt like Andreas Pereira was going to produce a moment of magic to win the football match. No. I never thought when we brought on Jesse Lingard or when he played, he was going to produce anything. I mean, his form last season was as bad as it's ever been.
Yeah.
And we were over-reliant on Marcus Rashford, who was carrying knocks. Anthony Martial was out of the team at the time because of injury, and Paul Pogba was on long-term injury. So the sort of the squad and the team wasn't as good. There wasn't as many match winners. And now you've got someone who's come in who's just this sort of goal assist and goal-scoring machine almost, and the other players around him are feeding off that. So it's not just the fact that, yes, statistically he does those things. It's that having that belief, having that player who you can sort of, so it's like a talisman type figure, and also him himself. He is that type of guy who, there was a point in the game where, you know, yes, we talk about what he creates and stuff like that, rightly so, but he lost the ball and then he runs like 40 yards back to make a tackle to get it back. He's got that mentality, that desire and that sort of non-stop will to win. We heard about it at the Spurs game where I think he subbed at half time, apparently he went berserk. Not just at being subbed, the fact we were getting absolutely battered. And you want that. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Because maybe in the past, one of my criticisms of some of the United players, and I've said this about Pogba, and I don't think Paul Pogba doesn't try his hardest. I think he does. I felt sometimes in the past where he doesn't hate losing enough.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that he don't want to win, it's sometimes he can shrug off a loss, where sometimes you need those players that can't shrug off a loss, won't have it, and are like, and Pogba, to be fair, has been playing as well as anyone, so I'm not having to dig it in, but Bruno has that mentality, he has that thing of like, you know, you can imagine if we lose, he goes home and just, you know, sits in the garage on his own for a bit because he's raging.
Something else I want to talk about as well, and it's a hard thing to talk about sometimes because it's quite a
personal thing. It's all right, you're in an open forum. We won't tell anyone.
No, it's quite an intangible thing. It's not intangible, but it's almost so luck-based or seemingly so luck-based that how do you even quantify it? How do you even assess it? Injuries. is such a massive thing for any team who wants to win the league. I don't believe it's coincidence that the year Leicester won the league, they had the least injuries of anyone in the Premier League. No. I believe the same was the case for Chelsea under Conte. I know for a fact from watching the games that Liverpool have had very few injuries to their major players in the 2 seasons preceding this season.
Yeah.
Now, Manchester United last year, you mentioned it then. Paul Pogba was out for a large portion of the season. Yeah. Marcus Rashford was carrying knocks for a large portion of the season. Anthony Martial was out for also, I think, 3 months.
Yeah, he was in and out.
Yeah, when this season, our biggest main players who are the first names on the team sheet, should we say, De Gea, Maguire, Bruno, Rashford, Martial.
And I'd throw Pogba in.
And Pogba in there as well, and maybe even Cavani now. None of them have been injured all season. How big a part do you think it plays into the chances of us winning things? Do you think it's just luck? Or, for instance, the fact that we rotate players in cup games quite well? I think it was 9 or 8 changes for the Watford game. There was a point last month where we made 9 changes in one game, 8 changes back in the other game, 7 changes in the game after that. You look as an example of this. Chelsea the other night, I can't remember who they were playing in the FA Cup. It's a League 2 team. Yeah. They played their full strength team. Yeah. Because their results have been so bad recently, they didn't feel capable of playing their youth team. Because if they lost, Lampard might lose his job. Do you think that there's part of it that because Ole's put himself in a position where he's a bit more secure, he can now risk chopping and changing a little bit more, which prevents injuries because he doesn't think he's going to get sacked every other week?
There's a case to be made there, and make sure you do like the video as well. Everyone who's watching, appreciate your support. Give us a like. That is one argument. And
how much do you put injuries? Is it a big thing?
I'll answer that in 2 parts. Yes. Do I think it's down to just the fact that Ole can rotate in a cup? Possibly. I mean, we played against City in the cup, and he played quite a strong team there. And we have had options, and I think there is an element of we're not overly reliant on 1 or 2. Earlier last season, it was all about Pogba, Martial, and Rashford. That was it. And now you've got your Bruno in there. Van der Beek can barely get a look in. Cavani's coming in. Greenwood as well has been sort of in and out. So that you are able to mix it up a little bit. Some of it's luck. Some of it is just you can be. I mean, you go back to 2011, 2012, and Nemanja Vidic misses a big chunk of that season. And he's a player that usually didn't get injured. And for me, is he worth a point that season?
I was going to say 1 point. Yeah,
the league 1 point that season. Of course he is. Yeah. So it makes a massive difference. And I think it's a culmination of all those things. I think players are being managed in the right way. Look at Mason Greenwood, for example. He's been brought in, took out again, brought in, took out again. Cavani, I know obviously he missed 3 games from a ban that was no one's design. And he also missed games because we bought him too late to play him against Newcastle, whatever it was. But I think he's been handled in the right way. And tonight, I like the fact that Marcus Rashford didn't start because he's needed resting, and he's been sort of hammered with the play him every game, play him the full 90 minutes every game, whereas you wanted him to be taken out of the starting lineup a little bit.
7 minutes he played in there.
Yeah, which is neither here nor there really. So I think we are managing it better. We have had a little bit of the rubber to green, and I think you've just got more options, so you're not overly reliant on 1 or 2 players.
Yeah, it's a shame when you have to think, part of this is down to luck of injuries, but that is. Well, not unfortunately. That is a big part of it, I think. That a bit of luck with injuries goes a long way. We've got a few super chats. Jay Balloon says, Greenwood tends to check back quite a bit. He's lacking confidence at the moment, maybe. Needs to start receiving the ball on the half, turn more. He's definitely lacking confidence. If nothing else, he's lacking match experience.
I think, I still think there was a point where he looks a little bit like the old Greenwood of old, where he cut onto his left and he brought himself half a yard and got his shot off. And the thing with Greenwood is he usually only gets 1 or 2 chances anyway. It's just he takes them. So I think with Greenwood, we've just got to handle him carefully, and this is why it's good that Cavani's coming in, and hopefully we can just use Greenwood sparingly until he gets back to his best, because he's I've said it a million times, he's going to be a great talent for Manchester United. I'm not too worried about Mason Greenwood.
Yeah, Mitchum channel with a super chat as well. Martial not good enough. Last season was the exception rather than the rule. Thank God we signed Cavani as a stopgap. We really needed number 9. We have sort of mentioned Martial. Let's talk a bit more about Cavani from that comment. How important a signing do you think Cavani could be looking back at the end of the season? Like, you mentioned it before, at the start of the season, which coincidentally was our worst run of form, we lost 3 of the first, 7 games?
Something like that. We lost 3 at home on the spin, didn't we, at one point? It was terrible.
Because Cavani wasn't fit enough to play those games because we signed him too late on. Since he's been in the team properly, 12 or 13 games unbeaten, I think we are now. That could be a massive signing because he's clearly not over the hill. There was I was concerned, I think you were as well, that you might just not really have the legs, not really have his heart in it. He's not willing to put the runs in the way that you think he might do. But he's doing all that, and he's getting the goals as well.
There's a point tonight against Fulham where I think he ran past Martial to go and chase down the ball.
Yeah.
He's full of beans. Martial's 25. And Cavani, who's nearly 30, I think he's 34 on Valentine's Day or around that time. I think the commentator was saying,
You're going to get him a card?
Yeah, probably, if he keeps going, 100%. So he's definitely got the energy, he's definitely got the desire. And I think there's a part of Cavani where, not he's got a point to prove, but he's not going to want to go to England and fail when he's been a success everywhere else. And it's like, I had a great career, and then, in Uruguay and Italy and then France, whatever. And then I went to England, and it didn't really work out. He's going to want to show, that he's been a success everywhere he's gone. So he's been a great signing, and he could be, if it does happen, if we do win the title, and it's a massive if, I get that. But there's no doubt in my mind that Edinson Cavani will be a reason for that. One of the reasons for that.
Definitely. Senyondo Solomon, thank you for the donation there. Man United are top of the league, Jay.
Say it again, brother.
Say it again. Manchester United are top of the league halfway through a season.
Did City enjoy their 12 minutes, whatever it was?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Piss off.
Fuck off.
Yeah. What is it? They're gaming on against Everton, I believe, isn't it?
They won't win that. Everton always beats City.
That's true.
That's a given.
Is that even... You just made that up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Massive.
There's no question now. Obviously, we've been talking about 21 is coming for weeks. Because Macaulay was talking about it.
Macaulay was talking about that when Moyes was the manager. Let's not forget that.
Macaulay was talking about it early on.
Just so we know.
Yeah, as a bit of a laugh. Whereas now, we've got no choice but to have the idea of a title challenge in our minds.
Yes.
In your head, is this fully a title challenge now? Or is there still a part of it of like, really, I want to do as well as we can, but it's up to City to stop Liverpool winning the league?
Deep down, I still feel like it could all go horribly wrong. Like, it's so tight up there that even tonight, if we'd have drawn tonight, I'd have been like, I don't know if we're going to get back on the top. And I don't mean to be negative. That's how important it feels, because I feel City getting back into the stride. Liverpool, who haven't been playing well recently, I expect them to kick on. I know they're the first team in the history of association football to ever have any injuries. But even with those whole three injuries they've got, that even with that catastrophic injury crisis, I still think they're going to kick on and start sort of winning more games than they have been doing. So it's very, very tight. And I think Ollie sort of said, we're the underdogs for this title race, and I think it's right, or some words to that effect. It is right. Logic tells me United aren't in the league, but then logic would have told me when I was 12 years old I wouldn't see us win 13 titles out of the next 20 or whatever it was. So, there's no reason why we can't believe it, because we've seen it before. Manchester United, we had Alex Ferguson, but we're top of the league for a reason. Right now, we're the best team in this league.
We are.
That's how it works.
Great stuff. Right, thank you very much for joining me, Jay. Thank you to everyone at home for joining us as well. United back on top. It feels right at this point. We get to say it sort of twice a week at this point. Back off it, back on it, back off it. But what all that matters is United keep winning games. 13 games unbeaten in the Premier League now.
Wow.
An incredible run of away form that has extended over a year since we last lost an away game in the Premier League.
Ridiculous.
Stunning form. Thank you to everyone for joining us at home. Man United have got Liverpool in the FA Cup at the weekend.
Again.
We're going to have all the build-up to that, of course. We're going to have the reaction to tonight's victory over Fulham coming up as well. We've got fan cams from Adam McCullough, Stephen Howson and Andy Tate. And in the morning, there will be 7 reasons why Manchester United beat Fulham. Again, thank you very much to everyone for joining us on the watch-along. Thank you, Jay.
Yeah, mate.
United are back at the top of the table. It's a stunning season. We keep ticking over every single week. I wake up, I look at the Premier League table. Where are we? We're bastard top again, Jay. We're there.
Bastard top.
We're bastard top. And we'll see you in a bit.